want to communicate in some cases, but what we must use to get across. Again, not hard and fast rules. We have some plenty of traditionals that are probably texting and using social media as well. But by and large, we know that the majority are not. Baby boomers. How many of you are baby boomers in the room? Please stand up if you're a baby boomer. You have baby boomer values. No, oh, okay. Let's be honest here. All right. Baby boomers. Lots of baby boomers in the room. Okay. So some of you maybe even have baby boomer values but are younger. I see some. Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. All right. What about the boomers? Different time period. This is post-war. Consumption goes up. Why? Because we have the ability to consume. We actually have funds. Housing boom. This is a time when people, instead of this being about the country and where we were going and defending ourselves, these folks found ways to have yoga up here, various ways to take care of themselves. God forbid some of these folks went and saw a psychologist at the time. That had never happened before. But we started to take care of ourselves. Very different than what we saw in the past. Teamwork. These folks are, what do they have to come together to do? Civil rights, Vietnam, protests. They pulled together to try to make the world, and specifically the country, a better place here. They worked hard to see that happen. They had an optimistic view of what could be. And they worked for it and fought for it. They like to work as a team. Let me give an example. Remember the first time I told my boss at Continental Airlines, I used to manage Austin, and then I had to manage part of Houston after 9/11. I was down in Houston. I'm on my way back. I'm almost to Austin. My boss is on the phone, and she says, do you think you could turn around and come back on Monday? We have a meeting here. We'd love to see you down here again on Monday. Everyone's going to be there. And I said, no. She said, no. I said, Cheryl, I don't think it's a good idea that I come back right now down to Houston. We've got things we need to cover in Austin. I'm going to need to be there. But my boss, as a baby boomer, baby boomers like to get together. Teamwork's a good thing. I'm a Gen X. You'll see in a moment, we tend to be a little more like the lone wolf. We like to operate independently. And so we appreciate that. But we also have to learn that there's some folks that are different from us in the workplace. Rebels. What were they rebelling against? Anything. Whatever we could. The man, whoever that was, you know. Whatever we could rebel against, you know, we were questioning authority. There was a time when we did that, absolutely. And also idealistic about what could happen. We had a lot of hippie stuff going on here in Austin, right? This was the place to be as a baby boomer as well. All right. A little bit on engagement with baby boomers. Again, face-to-face communication. Really comfortable, great thing for them. The written communication, also, email. Are they using some social media and telephone? Are they using of course they are. There's a range of tools they're going to use. Are they most comfortable using them all, such as a millennial might be? No. But we know that they're using LinkedIn, Facebook, certainly LinkedIn as a professional tool. You're going to find us on there, find the baby boomers on there. One thing about baby boomers, they work hard. They expect you to notice it. They love their work. They love their jobs. They're there long hours. I used to know a baby boomer that was there at 3 in the morning. Well, actually what would happen is she would get up at 3 in the morning and she would send her emails out then. So that someone would say, my God, you work all night long. You know, and it's actually she would just send them at that time. So the idea is that baby boomers identify with the job. You saw that there was a stethoscope and we are doctors. We are lawyers. I am my career. It's very different from how some of us think about our jobs that are not baby boomers. We are not the job. So that's what we had here. All right. Let's go to Gen X. How many of Gen Xers here? Good Lord, look at all Gen Xers. Stand up, please. Let's see how many we have, Gen X. Welcome, Gen Xers. Excellent. Lots of Gen Xers, good portion of the group. Thank you very much. Give them a round of applause. All right. What do we have going on here? What changed? what now happened in the workplace or at home that was completely different? We had parents that were so concerned about their careers as baby boomers. What do we have now? We're the latchkey kids, right? We're the ones who are left on our own. We're fending for ourselves in many cases. Divorce rates went up. We learned to stand on our own 2 feet. That's what was required for us to do. We also learned because of layoffs went through the roof. Layoffs, mergers, takeovers, that was all this period of time. I, at Continental Airlines, had, I think I was furloughed 3 times over the course of maybe 12 years. So you left, you had some seniority maybe when you came back. Any of you experienced layoffs as Gen X? You experienced, yeah, you learned that the company may not support you. This is not about lifetime employment. You got to take care of yourself. Therefore, we have trust being earned. We didn't just throw our neck out and say, okay, you know, we followed a person, but we might not follow the company. We also learned, not like the baby boomers, that I'm going to be there 24 hours a day. What do we have happen here? What was work? What do we do with work-life balance? How do we get that? Flex time, right? Working from home. We learned to work we appreciated that. Now, some folks might have called us, like the traditionalist baby boomers, that we're slackers. But, you know, because we didn't work as hard, or it didn't appear that we were because we were at home. But certainly, we learned to be flexible the way we work. We might not have identified as heavily with our careers. Entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial, internal entrepreneurs, external, we used to do all kinds of things to be creative. One of the most important or funnest parts of my job was trading airline tickets. I used to trade for anything and everything, didn't matter what it was. You can trade for meals. If you could trade the tickets, I said, don't spend cash if you don't have to, trade tickets. Until one of our senior marketing individuals, she decided to trade $100,000 worth of airline tickets for American Express gift checks. So we had $100,000 worth of gift checks, and we were giving those out primarily to employees, you know, for doing things well. Well, you know, the IRS didn't like it. So said, you can't do that. So we kind of really tapered off with the trades that we were doing. And global thinking, the last one here. What's going on at this time? 65 to 79. What do we start to see? Computers. We start having technology go through the roof. Maybe not like it is now, but it starts. How many of you had a TV antenna on your roof when you were young? Gen Xers. Yeah, TV, and everybody had a TV antenna. If you were lucky you had one, you could turn the dial. You know, and then you could move the antenna and you could tune something else in, right? Then what happened? They wired your house. You remember that, huh? And, well, I'm originally from Michigan. So the antenna would freeze on the roof. So honestly, if you wanted a channel, you had to get, literally you'd open the window up, you go out on the roof, and you're a kid, you do crazy things. And you would try to turn the antenna. Then what do we get? We got cable TV, CNN. We had all these tools that opened the world up to us, and then came along, you know, afterwards, internet. So our world's expanded. And my dad used to say, how come you're out cutting everybody else's grass, you're mowing everyone else's grass, you're shoveling their snow, and your own grass isn't cut, and your own snow's not shoveled? I don't know, maybe we all of a sudden our world opened up and we wanted to get out and do other things. It was just part and parcel of this generation. Absolutely. A little bit of engagement with millennials. Not that we don't spend time on our phones and text. Recently, a little partner of ours here in Austin we do some projects with, she said she was interviewing somebody. It was a millennial. And she finished the interview. She's a Gen X. Millennial left. She was on her, back to her desk doing her work, and she got a text. And the text said, how did I do? Did I get the job? And she called me and she said, because she knows we do this work, she said, you know, I just felt a little invaded, you know, they kind of in my space. And so sometimes that happens with us. Certainly, written email communication, the ability to talk on the telephone, sometimes we just want to pick up the phone and talk, let's just get this done. Some of the more traditional tools, of course now you see what? Pinterest going through the roof. I don't need to go into all these, you're learning these as you're here, learning to refine your skills with those. But we're using those. Flex time, flexibility, we said those were really important. And we like to grow and learn. really important pieces for us. So that's your Generation X. Does that sort of make sense? I see people saying, yeah, that's kind of me. I'm a Gen X. This certainly fits me. Yeah, it's really, there's a lot of overlap between the two of these. We're going to show you in a minute sort of a spread, if you will, of a spectrum of engagement tools and how those, how they overlap a bit. So I think it depends also on what you have, who you grew up with and what you're around, technology-wise, in fact, some of the tools you want to use. So what's left? We have one generation left. Who is it? Oh my gosh. All right. Let's show you a little video on millennials. This is a pretty good one here. This was on PBS. I think you'll enjoy it. And then we're going to see how many millennials we have in the audience. Yeah, so we'd say Gen Y. This is your Y. Right? Now there's Generation Z. Millennials and Y are the same. Generation Z is tweens, the next one. So get ready for the tweens. Traditionals are just traditionals. Then Gen X, sorry, baby boomers, then Gen X, and then you got your, oops, keep flipping the slide.
They're making up their minds, they can drive their parents and their employers crazy.
Some of you asked for vacations and your first 2 months of working here. Now, your bosses, boomers, they don't understand that at all.
Joe Muse holds monthly meetings with the young employees at his Hollywood advertising firm, trying to better understand the generational tug of war between them and their older bosses.
Why do you think that you can work places for a couple months and then get a vacation? And unpaid. You don't care if you get paid. What's up with that? I don't understand it.
See, we're bred on like MTV and things in the media and magazines, and you see Lindsay Lohan, who's 19, and she makes this amount of money, and she spends the weekends in San Tropez, and then you have Puffy, who's 35, who's a multimillionaire, and you have all those are our heroes. So the idea of working 10 years at a mediocre job to possibly have 3 or 4 weeks of vacation is not, everything that we've ever experienced in terms of growing up has been microwavable, and what we're striving for is to be millionaires and fantastic successful by the age of 40.
30.
You know?
I'm betting the farm that your parents have spoiled you, at least your bosses think that way, because of the sense of entitlement. You're thinking that you have to have everything that you want and you got to have it now. You'll submit yourself to the authority, but you give the sense immediately that we ain't the boss of you. And boomers recognize that the boss is the boss. So what's that all about?
Well, I think the difference is now, the boomers, they let their job define them a lot. So that's all they did. Where now, we do so many other things, we have so many choices. My job doesn't define who I am.
Muse Communications is not alone trying to cope with the arrival of Generation Next in the workplace. Companies large and small are faced with the unique demands and contributions of their younger employees.
We multitask and we have a lot of side things that we do. At the same time, I think a lot of people are very idealistic and they're going to college and they're graduating, they're crying in their rooms because they can't find a job that gives them meaning and purpose in life.
All right. So there is our little millennial video for you. I have a job description. We went to a job fair, downtown Austin, a high-tech job fair. We have those here. Imagine that in Austin. And this is an ad. This was one of the ads for one of the employers that was hiring for a job. Now, I told you, or we went through what Grandpa's job looked like back then, some of the description of the qualities they may look for. Here's this one. Have fun, kick butt, change the face of business. We hire top talent, we give them room to grow, and we make sure everyone has fun while they're doing it. Equipped with our flip-flops and free snacks, we're changing the face of business online and offline, and then they go on to tell you about the fact, some of the tools they use, and that they're merchant organization that processes payments and so forth, so on. A little different, isn't it? Very different. All right, let's take a look at some of the values here. Optimistic. Why would we not be optimistic as millennials? We've had a lot to be optimistic about. Every generation tries to help the generation after to become more successful. We know that happens. And so we've got kind of a swing here from maybe self-reliance and a lot of other things that we looked at and applying yourself to optimism. Confidence. What about confidence? We have this Operation game. Everybody remember Operation? Anybody play that game? How'd you win that game? Cheating. How'd you cheat? You took the batteries out? So what would happen? You take the little tweezers, you put it in, you go to get the bone out. Don't touch the sides because it's going to buzz if you do. And then the nose lights up red, right? So I'm playing this game with my father, a traditionalist, my stepmother, a baby boomer. I'm a Gen X, and my brother is a millennial. Now, my brother at the time is just about 4.5 years old. I have a much younger brother, obviously. My brother is going in, and every time you take the bone out, the nose would light up red, buzz, buzz. It kept buzzing. My dad, so every time he'd buzz the nose, he'd say, I won, I won. And my dad would say, you didn't win, you lost. When you hit that side and you buzz and the nose lights up, you lost. Then he'd start to cry. Stepmother would say, can't you just let him think he's won? Then my dad would say, you've got to learn in life, you don't always win. Not everyone is going to win. Not everyone gets a trophy all the time. But that's how these things, that's how we come honestly by these things. So here's a generation who wants to advance. They have confidence. Guys, sometimes we find that the confidence level is higher than the skill level or ability level, but their confidence is there. They will step out, they will try things. Does it mean they're always going to be successful? No, but they'll give it a whirl. A friend of mine the other day said, I was trying to tell my son, Jack, you should take golf lessons. I said, you know, why don't you take, he's a good golfer, he's pretty good. Why don't you take some beginning golf lessons? So I don't need beginning golf lessons. He should, like he's a pro already, right? And he's pretty good, but he's not that good. All right, so we know that the level of confidence is very high here. You have socially conscious. Environment. This is a group that's paid attention to things that the rest of us have not in many cases. Here's a good example. Anybody know what PRISM is? It's just come out in the news. All right. PRISM is the project that the government had, President Obama, for monitoring communications and phone calls. And so we have a young gentleman who's decided that we can't trust the government, so he's decided to leak that information instead. And so, well, I mean, there's a social piece to that. We can't always trust what we're being told. So he takes it upon himself, and now that's the big talk that's out there about why would he do that? Well, maybe he was socially conscious, felt like he should. How about technology? Are you guys tech savvy? How about tech dependent? A friend of mine sells homes, very successful realtor, and he works for a builder. One day he calls, he says, man, you won't believe this happened today. I'm at work, this guy comes in from Dell Computer. He's looking at homes. He sees some homes he likes, and he says, you know what, I do like these, I'll be back in touch. The day goes by. Now Terry is a baby boomer, former military guy as well. Kind of, you know, good solid values here. So at the end of the day, 5 o'clock, he says, the phone rings. He says, where have you been all day, Terry? He says, I've been here in the office, I'm in the model, I'm working. So, but I've texted you 5 times. I told you this is the guy that wanted to look at the house. I want to buy the house. I said, what? Here, I said I want to buy it. I gave you a price. I haven't heard back from you. Terry says, I don't even know how to find where the texts are on my phone. I don't know how to text. He's never texted before. So we're using technology, but we need to make sure that we are paying attention to when it's going to work and when it's not. When it's appropriate with a traditional or maybe a baby boomer, when we've got to pick up the telephone, God forbid. Organizations that we work with are saying, we need the millennials to get out from behind their cube, get up from behind their desk, put the phone down, put the text down, and get out and communicate with their constituents, communicate with their customers. We've got to be conscious of the fact that many of us still want that one-on-one communication. They want the interaction with you. They want to shake hands. And we're going to have to be socially capable to do it. So it's a combination of both. It's got to be there. Maybe when we all exit the workplace, and it's all millennials, so we'll go past 2020, then you can forget about all that stuff, right? Well, we won't have to. But for now, we do need to do it. Close relationship with parents. Remember, all of these have a possible negative correlation, don't they? Think about it as we move ahead. Close relationship with parents. We haven't seen these kind of close relationships before. The other day, the telephone rings. It's a parent. It's a mother. She's calling us for a job for her daughter. We've had parents showing up on job interviews. Imagine, parent shows up on job, and we say, why would you bring the parent to a job interview? Well, they know more about me than anyone else does, and they probably would be able to help you understand more as we go through the hiring process. So close relationships are great. We can't let it impede our ability to make decisions. This is another thing that we need to make sure we're on top of, paying attention to. Organizations will say, just had it happen the other day, very large company here in Austin. Senior manager said, you know, I have a staff member. We gave him an opportunity to go here or here, one side of the world or the other. He said, I need to talk to my parents about it, and I'll get back with you tomorrow, make a decision. Well, so he was kind of surprised. But again, you're talking to somebody from another generation about that, that's expecting you just to be able to move ahead. A little bit about engagement. All these we know, right? So we're moving from what we would call traditional to tradigital to full-blown ability to interact and engage 100% of the time and be connected. We know that this is the case. So constant interaction. I have a niece. She went to Paris this past couple months ago with my wife. And Andy loves to take pictures. And she loves to post the pictures wherever she's at. So you're going to see Andy at the Eiffel Tower, Andy at the Louvre, Andy at Palace of Versailles, wherever she's at. She's constantly looking to be connected. Now, as we said earlier, that can be, you know, my wife had mentioned, my gosh, we always had to be online while we were in Paris. You know. So there's a flip side to that, wanting to be connected all the time. And also paying attention to, this is a generation that has $500 billion. You might have some other figures earlier. I'm going to tell you, $500 billion in annual spend. The lifetime value of the millennial is higher than any other generation. It's there, maybe because they're going to be around longer as well. But absolutely. So we know that they're marketing moving targets. You know that. And we have to keep up with them. And we do that through all these tools that we use that you are already learning about and using on a regular basis. So just a little bit about the millennial engagement for you as well. And I know that you're working very hard as you're here learning about social media, the session before, and you'll continue to do that tomorrow. Here's a little engagement comparison for you. So if you start on the left-hand side, what do you see? Lower engagement levels. Authority, it's push marketing, print, outdoor. We're using these forms of media that we've always used. Some of the millennials will say, gosh, you know, the baby boomers around, the boomers and traditionalists around me still like using all these traditional things. Let's keep doing things the same way we've always done them. How are we going to get different results? Then we have what we call tradigital. So we're in the center here. And sir, you had said, okay, there's some overlap. And we've got baby boomers and Gen X sort of right sandwiched in the middle. There's a lot of things going on. We can move Gen X over to the right just a bit. But I don't really like banners myself, but your microsites and these other tools we use to full-blown social engagement on the right-hand side. So let's just review. Where have we been? Oops. First of all, generational sense and flexibility, absolutely critical. If you don't have it, you're not going to navigate well. If you got to put that rubber eraser in your pocket and squeeze it, or shove it up their nose, I guess you could do that. if they're not interacting the way you'd like them to, or put it in their ear or something. But use something to remind you of this. Remember that there's a negative perception possible always, even when you're doing your value that you consider critical for success. And then it's your responsibility, having gone through this material, and again, this session's not going to end here. There's some round tables that we have, 3 of them afterwards. We're going to work on some case study, one that we put together for you with some of your organizers here, Vanessa and a couple of other individuals that are here, Jennifer as well. And we're going to work on some case study with the tool that we're going to show you right now. So it won't end here. We're going to actually work, and some of the issues you might have, bring them to those roundtable sessions. We'll work on them. We'll talk about them. You're responsible for taking the first step now that you're the adult, so to speak, with this information. Here's the tool. It's simple. It's easy to use. We're going to flush this just a little further out when we get downstairs later. But ask yourself a question. First, what happened here? Not in this room, but what happened in my interaction with this individual? What is happening? We've got a couple examples from some of you that you've given me prior to this session. We'll put those up here in a minute. These are some things happening in my office. So what happened? What are the words and actions? What's underneath those words and actions? What are the potential values that exist that you just looked at that are driving those? And how can you meet in the middle? How can you form a bridge so that you're more effective with this person in the future? Very simple. Now, what we've got to do when we're running this model is look at the words and actions without judgment. We're talking about all these kind of crazy things that happen between you. Don't have any judgment about it. Just say, this is what's going on. Be neutral. Look at the values underneath as positive intention. Again, stay away from judgment. If someone's using technology, they're out at dinner and they're using it, all right, they're using it. They're good at it. They're probably efficient, they're effective, that's great. Let's look at it as a positive thing rather than negative. And then let's look at some bridges. Here are a couple of things that you told us. So prior to this session, several of you I've talked to at various event arenas around the country. So, okay, baby boomers in our office and traditionals are saying that the millennials and Generation X don't have any loyalty and they don't stay on the job. Even though they've interviewed, we put them through all this, they go. They leave. Does that happen? Sometimes, yeah, I think, oh, yeah, it happens. All right. So let's not put any judgment on it. Let's just say that it's happening. What are the values? Let's just say, underneath, what are the values of the millennials and the Xers that we just said were there? What are they? Remember what the values are? Let's go here. So, teamwork. If you got baby boomers with teamwork. Traditionalists, hard work, dedication, sacrifice. You don't up and out. You got this job. You stick with the job. That's their interpretation here. Why would you go? We geared you, groomed you for this. You're not engaged. All right. What does the Generation X say? I don't marry the company. I'm not here for life. You could terminate me at any point in time. I've been terminated before. Why would I stay? I'm going to look out for my best interests. Millennial says, hey, I'm not engaged here. I've got confidence. I have high expectations. In fact, we'll say millennials expect to advance because of who they are, not because of what they've done. They haven't been there that long. We haven't been there that long yet. But we're expecting we're going to move ahead. If you can't keep us engaged, we're leaving. It just doesn't happen. And we have to have all this frustration about it. There's reasons for it. We've been groomed as a millennial to want success. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next one. Another one. Baby boomers and traditionalists say that millennials and Xers dress inappropriate for business and for job interviews. We've been told that too. How could they come in dressed like that for a job interview? Texting while they're in their job interview. Ooh. Some brought their pet. All right. Let's go back to the values again. What do we have here? So we certainly have the boss is the boss. I mean, some of these you just have to work with this a little bit. It's okay, the boss is the boss. We have a respect for authority. We might be thinking about maybe we should dress a little differently for this interview. Maybe unless the text is relevant to the interview, put the smartphone away. It probably needs to be shut off. But we know why it happens. We know that millennials are tech savvy. They're always connected. There's a reason for it. It's just not random. It's just not happening because they're trying to annoy you. All right? It's not that we've had someone we were hiring, afterwards she told us, you know, I was going to an interview with you, and I was talking to my aunt about the interview. And she said, well, what are you going to wear? The aunt asked her. And she said, well, what do you mean what I'm wearing? She said, Austin, it's casual here. She said, well, are you wearing pantyhose? Pantyhose? Why would I wear pantyhose? I'd never hire you if you came in without pantyhose. Now, obviously, this is a traditionalist that's saying this, right? All right, but again, the bridge, how do we meet in the middle? Well, we need to be thinking maybe about dress, and we need to also understand why the millennials may come in a little more casual. What could we do about it? Could we communicate? We would expect dress of this, maybe it's business casual, or this is how we'd expect you to dress. Please shut your phone off in the session. We could communicate a little better about it. We can give some expectations. Absolutely. Third one. Imagine that. They want to spend time in meetings. They want to talk on the phone. Why do we have to do that? For what? We could accomplish this. I could send you this now, and you know. But you're the one in the restaurant with the problem. Why are you saying yes? You want to send a text. You're in the restaurant sending the text, right? Absolutely, we could do that. But why is it that they want to be in meetings and communicate? It's teamwork. Excellent. How did we grow up? We grew up working together. We grew up communicating face-to-face. That's the way we would probably be doing things here. We'd dedicate ourselves. We'd meet. God, if we had a longer meeting, it must mean we got more done. Ugh. I don't know. But what could we do differently? So the millennials are saying, why do I have to go to that meeting? I said it to my boss. Why would I go all the way to Houston for this meeting? Big deal, the team's going to be there. I got work to do. What can we do? What can the millennials say? What's that? Conference call. Could someone call in for me? How about this? Could we start on time and end on time? How about an agenda for the meeting? Could you put an agenda out? That might help me. So I'd be interested to come to know what's going to go on. Send me this and I'll make some decisions. There's things we can do. Last one, and you're getting this. Millennials say traditionalists and baby boomers are doing what? Constantly engaging, not using engaging content to market. That, you know, we always want to do things the same old way. We're going to go print, we're going to go outdoor. You know, we're not really willing to try something new in some cases. We've heard some of that. Well, we know why now, don't we? A better sense of why? All right. So again, it's about meeting in the middle in a bridge. Again, this session doesn't end here. We have some books for you. We have some content that take this a little further and a case study that we've worked out for you. We call it EAMC Arena. Real scenarios, but names changed to protect the innocent. And so we're going to work through those at those roundtable sessions. There's 3 of them. Please show up for one of those, and bring your eraser with you if you like. So, all right? Click it on.
Thank you so much, John.
Thanks.
Very insightful. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Thank
setting
you.
it up.
Thank you so much. So like John said, we do have about a 25-minute break, and then the roundtables will start. Fill out your surveys, please. And John has some books, but also all of the presentations that you are seeing will be up on the website. You'll get an email after the conference is over with a password, and you'll be able to get